No, we're live. Don't say anything offensive.
Yeah.
She just said she wanted to leave Canada. That's all.
I mean, as long as she doesn't take a helicopter, it's okay.
Yeah.
No.
Oh God, now.
Did Andrew just kick himself off?
I think he might have.
And we're still on YouTube.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that happens because it gives me the controls. We'll wait for him to reconnect and then we'll do this again.
Yeah, I'll fix YouTube in a minute. It says it's still live.
Yeah.
Instead of muting YouTube, which was making distracting noises, I accidentally closed everything.
As one does.
All right, now it's recording and it's hopefully streaming. And why does this say crow? First word in the show notes is crow, and Liz is muted. Well,
sorry, I was muted because I was checking out the YouTube and it is live. So
excellent.
Try this again.
Hello to all you patriots out there in podcast land, and welcome to episode 356 of Canadian Patriot Podcast, the #1 live podcast in Canada. We're being spied on by the RCMP on July 4th, 2022. As always, my name is Andrew, and I'll be your host.
We need your help to support the Canadian Patriot Podcast. Visit patreon.com/CPP and become a Patreon and get a better quality version of the show for just $1 per episode. To show you're not a communist, buy a CPP t-shirt, which is $24.99 plus shipping and theft. Visit CanadianPatriotPodcast.com homepage and follow the link on the right.
This brings us to my favorite segment. The RCMP already knows this answer, but we'll go around and ask everyone what they're drinking. And what tasks have they completed on the Patriot Challenge recently? Past week, today, something in a fairly narrow time period. We'll start with Liz, as is tradition. We believe in both genders, and we let ladies go first. Liz, what are you drinking?
Well, I am drinking Lola sparkling rosé wine. It is an Ontario one, and it comes in a super handy little bottle. It's so cute. Yeah,
That's something.
I know.
I don't think I've ever wanted to drink wine before.
But you do now?
I mean,
It's great, right?
naming things after girls and putting it in a handy twist top bottle, both things that appeal to me. What have you done for the Patriot Challenge recently?
Well, I am learning new skills often, as I'm in 3 different courses right now. So there's that. I also picked up some motion censored lights to go on the outside of my house. So I believe that goes into the category of something, my fighting position. We talked about this last week and you explained it to me. So I did those things, and I'm drinking a lot more water these days. And I tend to exercise every once in a while. So
Checking lots of things off the to-do list.
I'm working on it. I'm about to try this wine out of a little bottle here. Ooh, she fizzy.
Nice. Well, I'm drinking Crown Black and Pepsi, Diet Pepsi. I was a bit of a bad patriot, and I was on vacation. So, and unbeknownst to me, like a week before I went on my vacation, I broke my reading streak without realizing it because I was tired and fell asleep. So I'm starting from scratch all over on that and going away. But I guess, yeah, that's what I did. I improved my mental state by going away on a vacation to Newfoundland and visiting Dildo. And some other places, but that's the funny one. And soon I will be able to give Andrew beers from Dildo.
I look forward to this.
So he can have a little dildo in him.
Do the beers taste
Wait,
like dildos?
no, what? No.
I was waiting for it.
Well, what about you, Pierre? What are you imbibing this evening?
Per usual, whiskey. And I was a good patriot the other day, and I got everything done. I ended up waking up early. I read for way more than 15 minutes. I ended up reading like 5-6 chapters out of the book for this month. Did some exercise. I interacted with people. Me and the daughter went to go meet her teacher because she was doing online this year for something, and we misunderstood that they were actually going in the Science and Tech Museum. So we ended up going in there, walking around. I had to interact with adults and kids, and then did all the exercise, practicing a new skill. Hopefully next week that new skill will be better. And yeah, I did all of it. It was weird.
Good for you.
Yeah, well done.
Thank
You picked up my slack.
There you go. What about you, Andrew?
Well, I'm going to hold it up to the microphone. Hear that? It's French.
Oh, you're still working on those French ones, eh?
I got a different French one. I got Pierre's going to have to help me. Jolfie. It is a Blanche de Style Belge, which I think means a Belgian wheat ale.
A white Belgian.
Yeah,
A white Belgian.
Yeah. Blanche is white.
Yep.
Well, it's delicious. It's like if somebody took Blue Moon and made it taste good.
Ah,
Well, that makes sense. It's also a white Belgian beer. So,
Right, but this is significantly better.
okay.
As
I
for the
remember
Patriot
the
Challenge thing.
days. Sorry.
Oh, go ahead.
I was just going to say, I remember the days when everybody thought that Belgian moon was like exotic. That was before the boom of the microbreweries.
I mean, it still is exotic. It's got a certain je ne sais quoi flavor.
Go ahead.
It's got something. Let's just.
It's got something. As for Patriot Challenge stuff, I am checking all of the things off this month, except for I missed one day of reading so far this month. But I've checked off all the other exercise, practice skills, read books, drink water, improve my fighting position. I've done all of the things, except one day I missed reading my book. But I, much like Pierre, also crushed like 6 chapters of Jody's book in one sitting the other afternoon. So I feel like it balances out.
Yeah, no, it's a good read so far. I like it.
I'll have to get onto that one because I'm nearing the end of the Adventures of Huckleberry Finn at the moment.
Oh, that's too bad. Such a good book.
Well, yeah.
If you want
to read some passages from it, but it would probably get us kicked off the air.
Get us banned from YouTube. Yeah. If you want to participate in the Patriot Challenge, go to our website, grab our template, share it with your friends or your enemies, or just keep it on your phone and the RCMP can get a copy. Upcoming events for September, TACOM and Canada Army Run. If you have other upcoming events, listener feedback would be a great way to tell us about those.
Yeah.
Looking at Gavin.
You want me to tell
next
them
to
where
that
they
section.
can send the listener feedback?
That
So
would
yes,
be
if you'd
handy.
like us to do the listener feedback, which we basically, if you send it, we'll read it. Feedback at CanadianPatriotPodcast.com, or you can go to the website and there's like a handy form and stuff like that. But do it. Just send us something. We'll read it.
Probably. We've been getting a lot of spam again, but we'll see. At least I fixed the
We
email.
should-
I get the
yeah.
email again.
Dear,
into the news.
Dear sales, I would like to. Is it those kind of spams? Because I get all those
yeah.
at work.
It's kind of those kind of spam.
Well, as long as it's not boner pills.
Pierre
We
fell
might be
off.
having-
Oh, there he is.
All right, let's get into the news. First one's in True North News. Government-funded school pamphlet calls Canada's red ensign a, quote, hate symbol.
Yeah.
Yeah, where do we want to start with this? Canadian Anti-Hate Network got $250,000 of government funding from the diversity minister, Ahmed Hussein, to build a, I don't know what this is, pamphlet to be dumb.
I wouldn't even call it a pamphlet. There's too many pages for it to be a pamphlet. It's a little booklet.
53 pages or something, right?
Yeah, like that's
Yeah.
Yeah, 53, but I mean, like, cover page,
That's a
back
lot.
page, thanks to the government of Canada for money,
Still,
how
okay,
to contact
so
us,
45.
table of contents. Like, by the time you get rid of all the fluff, I mean, it's like, 45 pages.
That's still a lot.
Yeah.
That's not a
There's
pamphlet.
hardly any pictures.
It actually calls it a toolkit.
Well,
Yeah, I got a
it's-
toolkit.
Yeah, and whoever
Yeah, I do
wrote this
too.
is a tool.
We should put them in a kit.
There's so
It
many
is.
things that I have never heard of before in this pamphlet, though. Like, did we know that there was an anti-hate network?
Yes. I mean, I don't know if we knew. I knew. I read.
I had never heard of it before.
Okay, thank you. I read too, Andrew.
Wow.
Just maybe not all the things you read.
Maybe not all the things. This is why it's important to have a diverse panel.
Although, to be fair, they've probably sent the show some emails, and Andrew's the one that gets them. So
The anti-hate
I mean,
network.
so I guess to be perfectly clear, I had seen the antihate.ca website before, which is the same
Okay.
group of people
Yeah, it
that
is
is the
the
Canadian
network,
Anti-Hate Network. So that is where I am familiar with them from, because I have seen them listed in other news articles over the last couple of years.
yes, but for those that are not familiar, according to this pile of kindling, the Canadian Anti-Hate Network counters, monitors, and exposes hate promoting movements, groups, and individuals in Canada.
The other thing I noticed too, and this is all like for anybody that actually wants to get into it, I think you should put the PDF in the show notes, but
It is.
oh, there you go. But on like the second page, it's got this Western States Center where they're taking information from the United States to, like, I don't know. It's just involving some organizations that I'm like, what the heck? What the heck is even going on? And it's like,
I think
combat
my
white
favorite part-
nationalism.
My favorite part of the Western States Center is that it's self-referential. They use their own website as primary source material.
Yeah.
Which,
That's not.
Well, but I mean, that's how this anti-hate network people do their thing. They provide
Well-
information and education to the public through journalism and advocacy.
I thought that's what we did.
Yeah.
Question. Does anybody else think that the statement or the, like, I think the statement inclusive democracy is actually like, it's the opposite. Inclusive democracy.
One shouldn't have to put the word inclusive in democracy. Democracy implies that it is.
But it actually
Inclusive.
isn't, because inclusivity suggests that everybody is included. But democracy is popular vote.
Well, I mean, everybody
Everybody
has
gets
the
a vote.
ability. Well,
Yes.
those that are of voting age have
Yeah.
the ability to vote.
Yeah, but I don't
Not
think
to go down
that's
that
what
tangent,
they
but-
need.
Yeah.
Maybe
I
we
don't think
should.
that's what they mean.
Maybe we should reduce the number of people that can vote, but that's I think a different
Yeah.
topic.
Yeah. Yeah, it is interesting how they put white nationalism
Yeah.
at the top of everything here. Doesn't say
Well,
anything
yes.
about any other groups that also espouse hate. It's white nationalism.
And conservatives. You can't forget that the Conservative Party is specifically mentioned in this literature, unlike any other federal party.
Yeah.
And then what was the word that we had to look up? The definition of a person.
Gripers.
Yeah.
Gripers.
I have a lot of gripes. That's why we have the show.
Yeah.
Which again, like if you are on the internet and have been around political stuff in the last 5 years, gripers is a thing. But I mean, they talk about a bunch of other groups that are probably not particularly well known in political discourse, like who or what is Atomwaffen? Who
What?
or what is America First? Who or what is Nick Fuentes? Why is Nick Fuentes, who has an ostensibly Spanish last name, a white supremacist? Who is Charlie Kirk?
Uh,
I mean,
I'm just skimming this for the first time. Like I was
There's a
looking at
lot
it
of
earlier, but,
American
like,
politics
yeah.
in here about the
well,
alt-right.
the
Well,
pamphlet
but-
itself says they basically copied this
Yeah, that's true.
from
In
an
2019.
American thing.
But
Which
okay, so even if you're
makes me-
coming through here, it talks about like whether student has been found passing out hate promoting flyers on school property or more actively advocating for a white student union alliance or Canada First.
Yes, Canada First is racism.
That's insane though. That's oh my gosh.
And so
That's-
is our original flag.
Well, we should talk about the flag thing, but we should also talk about the Canada First thing, because part of this is that the kindling describes certain innocuous phrases as being coded speech, like Canada First, because they're trying to remove the stigmatization of saying that it's white supremacy. So instead they're using the branding of Canada First, which I feel like they may be muddying the waters a little bit here. And I feel like they're being done purposefully.
Yeah.
Should we talk about the hate speech symbols part? So I also, there's a couple of things in there. Actually, maybe before we get to the hate speech symbols part, can we talk about Telegram?
Sure.
You guys have seen Telegram before. It's a
Yeah.
chat tool. It's like
Yeah.
not a social network per
It's like
se,
Facebook,
but you can,
I think.
it's between an encrypted instant messenger, which it is,
Yeah.
and also a content distribution platform like Facebook or Twitter. So I'm going to read the excerpt from the Kindling. Telegram as a publishing and networking tool is very valuable for citizens of authoritarian regimes in other parts of the world. However, usage in Canada can be a red flag. While many hate-promoting individuals attempt to code their message on public platforms like Facebook and Twitter, the messaging on some Telegram... I think I made up a word. The messaging on Telegram tends to be more violent and direct. Some of the most extreme far-right wing, those who promote mass murder, are found on Telegram.
Oh, good.
I mean, I think you could find people who promote mass murder on most.
I mean, just
social
look at
media.
Twitter. All the terrorists are still on there.
Yeah.
Are they? Are we
Yeah.
using terrorist as coded language?
No, actual language.
I don't have Twitter. I'm good.
Like identified terror groups have not been banned from Twitter.
I wouldn't know. As someone who runs a podcast in Canada, I'm banned from social media. So
I actually just got rid of my Twitter because it's so shitty.
Well, hopefully it'll get better with Elon at the helm.
I don't know, man. People are assholes.
I mean, yes. Yeah, they absolutely are.
You don't need Twitter to tell you that.
I know, but it's
Oh.
just so much more evident. You see them so much more, and everybody's a keyboard warrior. Anyways, I could tangent, but go ahead, Andrew.
It's okay.
You were on a roll.
well, I'm not so much on a roll. I think it's funny to compare and contrast that Telegram is a valuable tool for other people in authoritarian regimes, but in Canada, that's not allowed. Because we definitely don't live under an authoritarian regime.
No, we
Not
can
at
vote.
all.
No.
Except you have to show your papers to travel.
Well, I mean,
and-
wasn't the RCMP using Telegram for their musical ride group? So,
They
I mean,
were.
Yeah, so it absolutely is used by authoritarians.
Um,
I don't think that's what they were getting at, but yes, true. I find the contrast entertaining that in Canada it's bad, but in other parts of the world it's okay. I don't know. Telegram has I think, specific purpose, and I question the veracity of their encryption technology
Yeah.
because of the type of technology that they use, but I do think it is a a powerful tool for people that are barred from other social media platforms like Facebook and Twitter, for example.
I consider that a win. What an excuse
Yes,
to be
but
on those platforms.
but there's still a need for people to share information, unfortunately. And
It's true.
people like me that are barred the use of Facebook for our political views need a way to be in touch with people. I also happen to miss out on all the comings and goings of various shooting matches in this country, and other people have to tell me about them because nobody sends emails anymore.
That's also true. You're not wrong. You're not wrong.
I just want an email list. Is that so much to ask for?
Apparently.
But let's talk about some other stuff. I don't want to talk about the streaming thing, but if we go down to the
What page are we operating on?
I think we're down to about page 20 or so. I'll get me some hate speech symbols here, and I'll tell you. I'm going to skip over all the example pages.
I'm at the example page.
Where are my pictures? There we go. So when we get down to about page 47, the far right memes. The memes are the hate speech. And remember, if you find memes, you can send them to info@antihate.ca. That's info@antihate.ca. Make sure to tell them about your situation and the memes that you have found on the internet. They'd love to hear from you.
Be sure to copy in feedback. Let's see if they're particularly spicy and funny.
Yeah, I enjoy seeing funny memes.
Oh my.
I guess trolling and humor are supposed to be bad things now. Also, it's the internet. This is what happens. So, some memes that I didn't know were hate speech, which I guess were pending the ban hammer anytime now from YouTube, is the helicopter rides. Images of helicopters, often with people falling from them, have been used by a number of alt-right groups, including the misogynist paramilitary group, the Proud Boys, and anti-communist Action. The usage of this meme is a reference to Chilean dictator Pinochet's tactic of killing his opposition by throwing them out of helicopters. It is specifically used to celebrate and encourage violence against ideological opponents.
No, I'm pretty sure that, all you have to do is enact the Emergencies Act. Isn't that the same thing?
The Emergencies Act,
Throwing people out of
extrajudicially dealing with your political opponents, banning political opposition. I do think that that making communists fly is probably for the greater good, though.
Greater good.
I don't know who half of these people are, or half of these memes or stuff.
I didn't realize that as many of these memes as they are white nationalist memes, like the non-playable character, the NPC guy, the gray guy with the nose. I didn't know that was an incredibly right-wing hate symbol, because I just thought we were making fun of normies, which...
Yeah, I was pretty sure that both sides used that guy.
I thought so, but I guess only
and
only the right wing's allowed to use him now, or you're right wing if you use NPC guy.
Yeah.
It does say usage has become commonplace, so do not automatically assume racist connotations. So they're giving mixed messages in their own little thing.
Yeah,
I'm glad you bring that up, because I want to go down to a couple of other ones. The Volknut, for example, an ancient symbol related to Odin. Note, not all usage of Odinistic symbols is white supremacist, and context should be considered when deciding if it is bigoted in nature.
Yeah, but people aren't going to see that. They're going to see this list of things to be careful of, and these symbols. That's it. That's the problem.
I just think as a person of a particular faith, that when you start putting religious iconography on the list of things that could be racist white supremacist symbols, maybe you're the one promoting the hate speech.
Yeah.
Yeah, considering the fact that at the beginning of this brochure or pamphlet, as we're calling it,
kindling.
Kindling. Okay, we're calling it kindling. It says on like page 2 that, or in one of these stupid pages, that the goal is so that people can, like, part of it specifically says worship freely.
Okay.
And
which I think is funny that they're bringing in like particularly
mean.
because a bunch of my co-religionists use runes and Volknuts and other Nordic symbols.
Yeah. Well, some of these are funny too. Like, yes, there are people that use these. Some not so nice. Some of them, like, but if you have to go, well, is this racist or not? Like, it should usually be pretty friggin' obvious if something is being racist and offensive. I mean, I know there's like the dog whistling, but like, come on, everyone, like, unless you're an idiot that lives under a rock, knows what all of that is. But yeah,
But-
pulling in like cultural and religious symbols into this and saying, well, they might be used by, is
Well,
kind of
that's-
shitty.
That's the problem, is that it's very suggestive material, and that's where we find a lot of things.
Well,
But this
that's
is
what
okay.
they're
This is the
accusing-
education system again, though,
Yeah,
right?
but that's what they're accusing everyone of, is using these things to be suggestive, and here they are being
Yes.
suggestive.
But this is also the same like process and institution that says we need to teach our kids gender identity education, gender theory, critical race theory at such a young age, when they think in their brains that this is going to equip them with knowledge, when in reality, all it does is add the power of suggestion into an already confusing system, right? So
Well,
this is
exactly.
the
You're gonna
same
see-
thing.
You're going to see that you're going to have some poor Slavic kid showing up to school with his Kolovrat and being labeled a racist
Mhm.
when he's just like, no, it's a sun wheel.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but
but-
dirty
Like-
Slavs.
I mean, fair, but at least it's not a red ensign, because like that's the worst of them all.
Well, the red ensign. Let me read from the kindling.
But so some of this stuff though, like it's all historically based and then it was repurposed by organizations, right? So you just explained the Slavic one. There's a lot of obvious Norse and Celtic stuff,
Yeah, but,
ruins,
like,
that sort of thing.
Where's the swastika in saying that like it's a Buddhist symbol that was co-opted?
No,
Right,
like-
but
they're not including the swastika. They're including the Sonorad, which will get you a visit by CSIS. Hey guys, hope you're having a good time. The Sonorad, or the Black Sun,
yeah,
is another sun wheel, which will 100% get you a visit from your local CSIS officer.
but,
yeah.
okay, so but
Ask
here's
me
the
how I
thing
know.
though, is that the Nazi symbol isn't even on this list. But because
The
the Black
Nazi
Sun
symbol?
was, yeah, I don't see it. Do you see it?
Oh, the
The
swastika.
swastika.
Yeah, same thing.
No,
Oh, there's other
Sorry.
sun wheels.
Yeah. There's a bunch of them.
Right?
Yeah.
Okay, sorry. I'm not so deep in that like Nazi culture.
Well, so the Black Sun and the
But this-
version they have showing here is the one that was actually, and they mentioned it in this,
yes,
but like,
co-opted by the Nazis.
well, so that particular version
Heinrich Himmler.
is put into the ground in the SS headquarters.
Right.
So like it's a big floor mural. It's still there. But like it is a bastardization of a sun wheel that not just Nordic cultures have, but many other indigenous cultures also have, because most ancient religions worship the sun because it was kind of important and stuff.
But that's
Didn't we
that's
talk
what
about
I'm
that when we
saying
did-
though.
Jack Donovan's book. I thought we talked about that.
Probably.
I don't know. Which one?
I don't remember. Maybe it's not one we've discussed.
But I guess that's just what I'm saying, is that like the swastika isn't up here, but a whole bunch of symbols that have roots that go much further back and have just been recently
So-
co-opted are
And I
This is
think,
why I'm disappointed about like the folk nut. This is not a thing that you should be. Yes, some people are probably using it as a hate symbol, and yes, some Odinists are not nice people. But find me a religion where they're full of nice people.
Yeah. Like I'm sure that there are some Christians that are complete dickheads. And I mean, and I'm sure that there are also some Muslims and some Jews and some atheists and Buddhists and everything else that are also complete dickheads.
well, I mean, you look at things like the Crusaders' cross, that then got co-opted by the German military. And you see like people judging the Christian faith based on the Crusades still, right? But I guess it's relatively inconsequential is what I'm saying. But you were going to say something, Pierre.
Yeah, it just doesn't surprise me that they don't actually have the swastika out there, because I would say 99.99% of everybody in the world, not only in this country, would see that symbol and say, oh, that's a swastika. But I could also say that probably 70% of people would see a valve nut and just be like, oh, it's a weird triangle name.
Yeah.
So I think that's why they didn't bother putting that one in, because that's such
fair.
a recognized
Well, but that's the thing.
sign and symbol. Right, it is, and yes,
The
okay,
one that
you
is
know, with the
easily
Nazis.
recognizable, they don't. But the one that like no one would see that and go, Nazis.
Yeah.
Well, we better make sure to put that one in there so that everyone
Yeah.
knows
But they,
that maybe they're a Nazi.
right, but
Just
like
maybe.
the swastika is just too much of a dead giveaway that I think they instead of putting that one in, they decided to go down that deep rabbit hole and find all these potentials. But you know, like, hey, don't judge. You know, have a like, yeah. So I think that's what it is, right? Like everybody knows what the swastika is, but
Yep,
not
that's
everybody
fair.
knows what. A bunch
I don't
of,
know.
You know, knock nuts
I don't know.
and everything.
Like, I don't know what half of these are.
Well, now you do,
Right.
because the government has
do
produced
not.
a pamphlet to explain them to you.
Power
You
of
can use them,
suggestion, folks.
you can
Power of
use them
suggestion.
correctly in context.
Almost all of these are Nordic.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, because that's white people stuff.
Yeah.
Don't we live in the Great White North?
Yeah.
The other Great White North.
Yeah.
Oh, should we just say the Great Neutral North now?
No, that'd be
Or
Switzerland, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Inclusive North?
We could be the inclusive North.
We're the
Anything
Great-
but White North?
Well, let's talk about the Red Ensign, which is what
where
I got triggered by originally
Okay.
when I saw this.
Can I just,
Yes, sure.
okay, so this one symbol, echoes,
yeah.
is often used to denote someone as Jewish or part of the Jewish conspiracy. Triple parentheses around a name, term, or phrase. Example is what kills me. Example. I'm going to go like this. Pandemic.
I think
That's
it's more
the
like
example that they
pandemic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You
That's
forgot
the
the L.
example that they gave.
Well, because they got to throw that COVID thing in there, right? So that it's like, oh, those that think the pandemic wasn't really a pandemic are racist and anti-Semitic.
Oh gosh. Sorry, I just got super distracted by that. Go ahead.
Oh, like you could probably do multiple
we could do,
episodes.
like,
all
There
on
are
this
rabbit
pamphlet.
holes.
Yeah, like
we could
you
do
could
lots of episodes.
probably a whole year's worth of material out of this pamphlet alone.
Yeah.
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 There's nothing in here I like, but let's focus on a particularly Canadian symbol and why I want to have a good old fashioned book burning. Canadian
is
Red
appropriate.
Ensign.
It is a post-Dominion Day after all.
Canadian Red Ensign. Canadian Red Ensign, the flag of Canada until 1965. Its usage denotes a desire to return to Canada's demographics before 1967, when it was predominantly white. Not to be confused with provincial flags, especially Ontario's, which looks very similar, except for the crest. The Canadian Red Ensign is often used by the younger alt-right Canada First movement, but is being seen amongst older hate-promoting groups and individuals. Its usage in modern times is an indicator of hate-promoting beliefs.
That is wrong. Okay. They just contradicted themselves in 2 sentences. Okay.
Yes.
The Red Ensign is often used by the younger alt-right Canada First movement, but has been seen amongst older hate-promoting groups and individuals. And then it says it's
We've just been
hate-promoting.
using it the whole time.
But it's like,
Because I can't decide if I fit into the younger alt-right or the older hate-promoting group,
but it says careful.
I
It's
prefer the
usage in
original
modern
flag.
times.
It could
Just wanna
also just
clarify.
be that some of these old people just didn't want to buy a new flag and have just been flying the flag that they flew when they were born.
No, can I anecdote, because everybody else got to do an anecdote. I specifically fly a Red Ensign on my flagpole because I refuse to fly that liberal trash flag that is made of compromise because it represents a country of compromise. The the current Canadian flag is a flag that has no meaning or value. It has no historical relevance. It was designed by a committee, and it was made by a set of compromises.
Yeah.
There is absolutely nothing I like about it.
Well, and I mean,
So I choose to fly the red ensign.
In and of itself, it's a contradiction because they wanted to get rid of the red ensign because it was too military-like. And then the guy that put the sort of design together for this one went to, what is it, RMC or whatever.
RMC. The current Canadian flag is actually based on the RMC flag.
Yeah, so
Really?
they went and replaced a thing that was too military with a knockoff
With,
military
like, a real-
flag design.
From a
Yes,
military
because they've changed. So the RMC flag is 2 1/3 bars, and I forget how you describe this in flags, but the outside 1/3 bars and the central 1/3. And the RMC flag uses I think it's an arm, if I'm not mistaken, like a gauntleted arm, like a knight's armored arm, kind of an arm. There's a specific heraldic thing with that, and I'm not a heraldry guy, but it means a thing to RMC. And all we've done is change it out for a stylized maple leaf.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
it's a
It is an
gauntleted
armored-
arm on like a red and white.
Banner type thing.
There's a
Thingy
specific
with
name
a-
for that kind of a field.
Yeah,
and
it's all in the heraldic stuff, which also in this article, when they show the symbols, they have the wolf's angle, which is a Germanic heraldic symbol.
Mhm.
So like it's used on a lot of ancient family crests and stuff. So like, super racist.
Also, just want to say that there's a bunch of those flags on Amazon, so let's fucking buy them up.
well, you know what? I might need a new flag. I might need a better, higher quality red ensign to put out, because my last red ensign got storm damaged. My new one, well, maybe it needs a replacement.
Yeah, agreed.
It's a much better flag.
Yeah. It
I
has
think-
history, right? Like
I
as
think that's where people kind of fall off the whole flag thing, is that it's the history that people are interested in, like the tradition. 1967 is really quite new still.
Yeah.
Yes, and can we explore the demographics of this? Because I feel like this is based on a false premise, which is the thing that I started to get upset about when I was reading about this. So the demographics of the country in 1967, I can't find that year. The closest year I could find on Stats Canada was 1961. So let's round up and
changed a whole lot. Yeah.
Well, let's round up a bit. And I mean, there's a lot of stuff that happened 1964, 1965, 1967 through 69. There was a lot of changes in North America at that time. There's a lot of changes in the U.S. with the Hart-Celler Act, which is specifically about an immigration act in the U.S. There's a lot of changes in Canada. We have the change of flag. We have the unification of the three services. There's Trudeau the Senior gets into power the first time. Charter of Rights comes out. There's a lot of changes to how our countries operate in the mid to late 60s. But let's take a step back to a year I can find, 1961. Demographics get broken down in very easy to digest categories. British Isles, 43%. Other European, 53%. Asiatic, 7%. Other origin, 0.7%, and other origin 2.5%, which includes Native Indians and Eskimos and Negroes. Negroes at 0.2%.
Right.
So
So they're
if you do-
associating based on those demographics that it's racist.
Because there was fewer Negroes. Their words on Stats Canada. I'm just reading the. I only report the news.
That
That's
at the
insane.
time of collection of the data is what that particular group of people was referred to.
So if we look at Stats Canada, that works out to roughly 97% of the country is European, some kind of white.
Yeah.
I think we're safe to say that if we call European people white people, everybody knows what we mean. Majority of those English, Irish, Scottish, French, and then you get other smaller but still like large ethnic minorities, Germans, Italians, Ukrainians. There's a couple of other single digit entries, and then you get all of Asiatic is Chinese, Japanese, other. That's basically it. That's how they break down the
Yeah.
demographics. So
They-
that's
they definitely
1961.
split that out a lot more over the years.
Well, so now we get down to, let's go to a relatively recent census, 2016. Asiatic is not listed as Asiatic anymore. You have South Asians, East Asians, or Chinese. Southeast Asians, except Filipinos. West Asians, Koreans, Japanese, other visible minorities. And depending on how you want to split that up, but something like 10%, 12%. Other large visible minority populations that they list: Latin Americans, Arabs, a couple of different varieties, other visible minority, Aboriginals, and all of that sums up to Europeans still have 78% of the census. People of European origins.
So in the
Which
new
breaks
one,
down into the... Sorry, go ahead.
I just want to know if they still use Negro in the new one.
No.
No,
they
they changed
Okay.
that.
Well, okay. I just wanted to make sure you're.
So
Control
if we
appropriate.
use the 1961 Negro interchangeably with the 2016 Black, it goes from 0.2% of the population to 3.5% of the population,
Okay.
which is not insignificant.
Yeah.
Oh,
So they're talking about in 1961 peoples, that's 32,000 blacks versus in 2016 that's 1.2 million blacks, give or take some for rounding for ease of podcasting.
well, thank God we
Significant
changed the-
growth.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, imagine if we hadn't changed the flag, how much they would have went down.
Well, my bigger point from this is that yes, it's 20% less white, but it's still a majority white country because we're a European country. We're founded by Europeans and we're run by Europeans and we use European laws, and everybody else that gets to come here gets to assimilate to act like Europeans because that's how it works, because we have a system of common law and we have a set of shared cultural values, which I disagree if we go back to the kindling material again, that they're talking about the alt-right being like some sort of traditional Catholic type thing, since most of those ethnic groups are not predominantly Catholic, French and Italians being significant exceptions to that, but all the rest of them not trad-cath. So what gives there, kindling?
Yeah, if anything, it was predominantly like the Protestant,
because of
Irish,
religious
Scottish, and
persecution.
English that came here and everything else, not the Catholics, because like
there's a lot of
even-
assumptions in this.
well, like even like
There's
in
tons.
the 60s and 70s and even later on, but like especially then, like during the Troubles and stuff like that and everything that was going on back in Ireland, like if you were an Irish Catholic here in Toronto, you still had a hard time getting jobs and stuff like that.
Mhm.
Thank God for potatoes.
Except when there's a drought.
But we
That's
changed the
fine.
flag and got rid of all of the problems, so it's fine.
That's right, because if we just ignore our history, everything is great.
Do you know what would be very fascinating in a conspiratorial type of way is if at the end of this pandemic, or this whole
Careful, don't put parentheses around that word, Liz, or you're gonna get banned,
Especially not more than one.
or brackets or whatnot.
whatever, or the cessation or the attempt to stop this freedom movement that's been occurring for a few months now in Canada. Wouldn't it be fascinating if just Trudeau 2.0 decided to change the flag again?
I don't see a reason to change away from the maple leaf.
I don't
He's
either, but
already
I just think
rewritten
it would
the
be
charter.
extremely,
Or just crossed out the sections that his dad put in. Yeah.
that is also true. There's some serious.
Maybe they'll just get rid of the maple leaf and just put like a boot coming down on somebody's neck. That'll.
Well, just make it rainbow colored and put a dildo in. It'll be fine.
I think we're dangerously close.
The flag
I've
is
seen-
actually now just a dildo outline. Like it's the
But-
only flag that's not square now. It's
But are we talking about the town or the object?
No, I mean an object. Like I really dislike this government, and I dislike what they're doing to great symbols of our country.
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with maple leaves.
Yeah. So
It
like
doesn't need to be on the flag as the only.
well, and so
I
like what
hesitate
about
to
all
say
the
heraldic element.
World War One memorials around the country that still have a red ensign because that is the flag that those people fought under and died under? Like all of a sudden
Well,
we're going to just take
and
that down because that's racist, or is it's okay
some
there
flag autism depending on which war, which point in history, because the red ensign did change a
change
little bit over
as people
time.
joined Confederation and all of that? Yes, but
Well, and it went through a simplification period because the
yeah, it started to get a little busy.
the 1890 red ensign with the giant shield had a little bit too much going on, I think.
Yeah, but like, you know, are we going to be accurate in it? Like at the time that this thing happened, that like that one's okay, but like, or is it racist even though that's the flag that these people fought and
But
died
the problem,
under? Like,
the problem with SJWs is that they don't have a complete logic that answers the questions to a lot of things. They see a problem, and instead of addressing something broad spectrum, they pin it down to this idea, but then don't realize that it has to be broad in spectrum, right? Like, so this is kind of garbage for a couple of reasons,
This
obviously.
is hot garbage.
But it's garbage because it's a waste of somebody's time, a bunch of people's times. Okay, so it even says it right now, like hate promoting. So what's the overarching concept to that? Well, let's not be hateful. So instead of pointing out like symbols that are hateful, talk about behavior that's hateful, right? Because symbols are nothing. It's no different. Well, I guess it's no different than, gun laws. Guns are only bad if a human that is an asshole is holding them, right? Like it's an inanimate object. These symbols are inanimate objects, but a person wielding them, just like words, just like actions, is the threat. So then adjust accordingly. These are so specific, yet have so many gaps because they're too specific. Like,
I think that's part of this problem, though, is that they're if they paint with this broad enough brush, you get to reject any kind of individualism. And well, but that's part of the problem, right? Is you get to reject any form of individualism that comes out of that because no one wants to be seen as being on the wrong team, on the losing side, on the not being politically correct, on the doing something to, God forbid, offend others.
See, and that's a whole other rabbit hole you can go down, just like was saying, right? Like, okay, start, instead of introducing or talking about these symbols being hatred, talk about a certain speech or mindset or whatever. But at the same time, like, then you go down a whole other rabbit hole that,
they do talk about speech in the kindling, which I think we might want to touch on the speech part briefly, because the free speech part is supposed to be some sort of a dog whistle that if you claim that you're doing free speech, then you're not actually doing free speech. What you're doing is some kind of a racism.
Well, maybe. Is that what you were kind of getting at, Pierre? Is that, like it's the same issue, but a different.
No, so the other big thing I have with, like, okay, well, depending on speech. So me saying a specific comment could be interpreted as hate speech to a certain person depending on their mindset. So you have to be very careful how you define speech as hate speech. If I disagree 100% to my core about something and you say something against that, I'm going to automatically assume, let's just use this as an example, that you're a racist and you're a bigot and you're a white supremacist. But interpretation of words can be too much. It's left too broad compared to these symbols. Like, these symbols are easy. You support you support a swastika. Okay, you probably support the Nazi regime. But me speaking out of, hey, I support, the freedom of choice, the right to defend myself, and I don't like paying taxes for use of shit. For example, this fucking pamphlet, right? But to a person that is a diehard supporter of this, right?
Yeah.
Me saying, hey, I don't support this and I want to support this, right? Taking speech into all that is very complicated because you get on this slippery slope of, okay, well, where does, me saying something that I support, where's that line where it's like, okay, I can only say something up until the point where you get offended,
So
but not vice versa.
yeah, so that's a whole other problem of like we live in a society of obviously cancel culture and like hypersensitivity and just extreme insanity in regards to that. But so something that somebody said to me, and this somebody we all know, and I'm going to paraphrase, but we were talking about, just like some anti-Semitic stuff that occurs. And I was asking him about it. And he's, now I could be like butchering this, but he essentially said like, if somebody spray paints something on the side of a synagogue, that's not the end of the world. It's not actual violence. Yeah. Like it's, somebody being a bit of a dickhead and,
but we also
vandalizing something.
We live in a world where like microaggressions
that's the word
are violence. And you're like, no, like I didn't call you your preferred pronoun because I wasn't aware of it or I just didn't care.
Yeah.
It's not violence. Like Absolutely. It's still a dick move potentially, and vandalism is a dick move, especially on a religious center. It doesn't matter which religion it is.
Sure.
But it's still not violence.
Yeah, exactly. And we get so worked up over like these dick moves that really there's just consequences for them, like you have to clean it off or you pay a fine or you do some time, but you're not a violent person. You're just somebody that's just a hoodlum. Hi, Peter.
Hi.
Peter.
Yeah. Preferred pronouns are an attack on free speech.
We don't have free speech, so I mean that's a whole other subject, but agree.
We don't, but claiming free speech is white nationalism, or so says the Kindling.
Yeah, right. So I'm curious, like, so what's going to be the protocol? So my daughter is going back to school next year because as much as I want to homeschool her, I have no patience at all. But so I'm curious, I'm at that point where I'm like, do I make or do I just, keep one of my spicy shirts with me when I'm at work? And,
yes.
teach my daughter that if, they want to hand her that, to be respectful and just be like, thank you, I'm good.
The trick is to appear indoctrinated enough so as to avoid the re-education camps.
Right, so that was funny enough, right? Because she was doing it online.
Much of the Gulag Archipelago, haven't you?
So she was doing it online, so I had to go to the school. The teacher sent a bunch of stuff through like the curriculum or whatever to her homeschool, or like the school she normally goes to, not that far from here. So I was like, oh crap, I got to pick that up, and it was on a day I was off. So I went there, right? And I don't remember. I think I was wearing the shirt I'm wearing tonight, embracing diversity. I had a knife in my pocket. I'm wearing my multicam shoes. I'm pretty sure I was wearing this hat. So I ring the doorbell to like get in, right? And like normally they just like buzz me right in. No, I had this person like come up and like just slightly crack the door and just be like, "Can I help you?" I was like, "Yeah, I'm here to pick up something." And they're like, "Are you her father?" I was like, I'm not picking up a kid. I was like, "I'm here to pick up a fucking package. You guys called me that." Oh, okay. So they closed the door, made sure it was locked before they walked away. I was like, don't get me wrong. I was kind of really happy about it because I was like, cool. That means you don't want to talk to me. But at the same time, I was like, what the fuck, man? Like,
you were just profiled, and that's racist.
Yeah, right. But
no, heuristics. He's a white dude with a big beard.
Yeah. And
heuristics are a thing.
So if I had shorter hair, would I be okay?
No, you need a beard oil and maybe a beanie cap.
Yeah, no, I have beard oil. Don't worry about that.
Put it in real thick. Comb it out.
I have a whole hair care routine now, thanks to my wife, and I hate her and love her for it.
Tune in next week to find out about Peter's hair care routine.
Pierre, but
My
sure.
hair care?
Pierre.
My
You
said
hair
whichever,
care-
someone with a-
my routine is simple.
I was
just
looking
cut
at
it off
Peter.
every summer.
I was looking at Peter on
Well,
the Zoom
It's
chat.
certainly
Sorry.
not going to be mine.
So you look at him and think of me?
That's something like that. Yeah, my hair care routine is not unlike Gavin's hair care routine. It's
Turtleback.
short.
So my hair care routine, every day I want to shave my head. I hate hair. Stick with the least amount.
I don't know, man. I haven't cut my hair as long as I haven't cut my beard, so I'm going on like 2 years. I don't plan on. Yeah, good.
Hair's a lot of work.
Yeah, it
Tell me
is.
about it.
Sucks.
I cut it off.
I've done that before, but I look a little like, I don't know. I don't want to
Like you're going to that
You-
bar.
Yeah,
like you-
thank
like-
you. I was
Like you're part of the
I can't.
QSLGBTQI.
I mean, you cut it
community.
off. You
Yes.
bust out a flannel. You get a denim
So
jacket to go with
this
your
is the
jeans. A
problem.
real Canadian tuxedo
softball.
situation. And
The problem is that I do wear a lot of flannel and jeans already, just because I'm a country girl.
I'm
Like
Do
just
you
saying,
need a
you fit a-
fresh,
Yeah.
crisp pair of Doc Martens?
I
You can
have
pick
a
it up,
pair.
check
it's a
Don't fucking
certain
That's the problem.
heuristic.
I have
Yeah.
that's the problem is that like I grew up in a space where like flannel was awesome at home because it was warm and then everybody thought it was super cool and price of flannel went up and I was pissed.
You just gotta throw a little mossy oak in with the flannel, and then they know that it's that kind of flannel and
I
not the
know.
other kind of flannel.
I need
And just
to
like
Not
avoid
the
wearing
back one.
the problem glasses.
the what?
The glasses they all wear.
The problem glasses.
Yeah. Because you know they're gonna be a problem when they're wearing those glasses.
I don't know what that means. I don't
They,
understand.
they all wear the same
Oh,
style of glasses.
Tune in next week when the what was this organization when Anti-Hate Canada updates their kindling to include us talking about problem glasses.
Yeah.
Oh, are we talking about just like a style?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, like it's like a kind of like a Ray-Ban's Clubmaster, but like worse.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But they all wear
Yeah.
them. So it's like, yep.
Now I'm checking to make sure that it's not the same glasses I wear.
Or if they have hair, it's blue hair.
Oh, I've had like orange. I've definitely given off like I've had a few people ask me about that, but I'm like, this is just how people that don't give a shit about how much makeup and hair products they wear.
Just
like
saying that builds into that heuristic.
I know, right? It's a problem, but it's a stereotype and I don't really give a shit. So
Yeah.
moving on. We'll
Moving
reiterate that I am
on.
not gay again.
Yeah.
This is not the first time we've done this on the podcast, and I'm sure it won't be the last.
And I have never been the one to bring it up, just so that we're abundantly clear about
I'm
everyone's.
pretty sure it just
orientation.
comes down to like,
I'm pretty
No,
sure
they
I
talked
haven't,
about-
but I've had a lot of whiskey, so I mean,
I'm not that worried about it. Believe me. Don't worry, Andrew. They were talking about dildos with you earlier. So, I mean, that comes up.
A little
fairly often,
dildo
I
in
think.
you.
So,
I mean, I do love a little bit of East Coast geography.
there you go.
Should we talk about that RCMP?
That RCMP?
That
that
RCMP.
RCMP.
That RCMP.
Wow.
It's been a minute since they've been in the news.
Well,
Well, cool.
Nobody knew that the RCMP existed outside of the musical ride until just the past couple of years. Such dum-dums.
Well,
If
that's
only
because they
they
took a horse
kept-
and trampled a person.
To just
Yeah.
riding horses to music, we would all be better off.
Probably.
And they didn't use what's it called? Telegram?
What?
That shaped thing.
Yeah.
yes.
Okay, so also just to clarify, reading all these articles before the show, even though it says DRCMP, it's a lot funnier if you replace the D with that RCMP in all these articles.
Well-
every time. So I was reading it and I was just like, oh, that says D, not that. But I was like, no, and I just kept reading it as that RCMP, all of it. It was so much better.
Well, let's go through. The first one's on political. I don't know if we've ever used Politico as a source before for the podcast.
We could just reference our own website.
We
Yes.
could, but we don't have the antihate.ca domain name. I will work on getting antihate.biz immediately after the show, though.
Can we go with prohate.ca instead?
Okay.
Because it would
Sure.
be funny. Or antihate.ca.
If you use enough like good grammar, they'll get confused.
Well,
Good
grammar is
grammar.
racist.
Yeah.
Double plus hate.ca.
Maybe.
Anyways, that RCMP.
Politico. First time I'm using Politico as a source, I think.
Shout out
That
Politico.
RCMP
Yeah.
says it only uses such tools in the most serious cases with less intrusive technologies are unsuccessful.
Oh,
So there. Yeah.
Yeah.
The RCMP is admitting that it's using spyware to hack people's phones. And hack is maybe not quite the right word, but let's assume a certain level of Luddite, technical ignorance, if you will. The RCMP has admitted to having tools that it can install on phones to remotely turn phone cameras, microphones on and off to track criminal suspects. They still need a special warrant. It still has to be issued by a judge. But the problem is they're saying there's too many encrypted apps and there's too much use of other technology outside of things like phone calls and text messaging for regular wiretapping warrants to be successful.
Yeah, because they talk about Signal in one of them, right? But if they go to your
Signal's
phone,
a specific example. So if you intercept a Signal message, you don't get anything. Signal is a end-to-end encrypted open source communication platform that is tied to the user's phone number. And I believe this was tested in the courts in America in 2019, but I might have the year wrong, and I certainly don't remember the case off the top of my head. But Signal was subpoenaed to provide the records of the users and all of their conversations, and Signal provided everything, and it was like 5 items of metadata. It was a phone number, when they registered their account, and I think their last login or something to that effect.
Yeah.
Signal was not able to turn anything over because Signal didn't have anything, because the messages in the Signal Messenger specifically don't exist on a central server somewhere. It's end-to-end encrypted between users.
Yeah.
The messages exist on your phone and the recipient's phone. And that's it. And it's... Go ahead.
No, but I was just saying, right? Like, I think there was one thing that I saw now where if they did get anything, it was just like gibberish.
Well, unless
Well,
they have the
they don't have
encryption
the
key.
decryption key. Right, yeah.
Yeah.
They need the specific decryption key, which is why.
But
they're
you're
trying
not going to
hack-
get the encryption key because it's a 2-bit cipher, and you need the public key and the private key, and then we can talk about cryptology. And there's a whole bunch of stuff that, much like the autism around flags, I enjoy the autism about cryptology.
Yeah. Is
But-
it possible? Sure. Is it likely? Fuck no. It would
No.
take them forever.
Right, and that's
Like-
why
And-
they like this technology. They can put this spyware or whatever on your phone, and they can see
Right.
in real time.
So
these
you're
messages.
compromising the device. You're not capturing the data as it's transiting between the devices. And I think this is true. You could make this argument about other encrypted platforms. Signal specifically mentioned in one of the articles. I think it's the political article. Telegram, Threema. There are other encrypted messaging applications. You could make an argument for WhatsApp. Technically, WhatsApp is encrypted, but WhatsApp is also owned by Meta, which is Facebook, and they have everything. So yes, it's encrypted. A third party can't access it, but
They can
the
be
parent
subpoenaed.
company can.
Yeah. So if they were ever subpoenaed, they would bend over faster
Well,
than
and
anything.
there's
And be
been-
like, here you go. Here's everything, as opposed to Signal.
They'd
That's
ask-
like, here's literally everything we have, which is 5 pieces of data. P.S. It's in Linux time. Go fuck yourself.
Oh, that's right. They provided it in Linux time. I forgot about that. That was funny.
Yeah.
Glad you remembered that case. Yeah, WhatsApp technically encrypted, but I wouldn't I mean, not really, because it's meta. But yeah,
Yeah, it's
Signal,
like using your
Threema.
Captain Crunch decoder ring and saying it's encrypted, right? Like, sure.
So the RCMP is calling this on-device investigative tools. They've installed something, and we'll talk about the something, I think, in a moment. They've installed something that will capture what's going on in the phone, audio recordings, anything that the device can see or hear, anything around the device. It also means that your device is compromised. So whatever you're doing, just assume somebody else is watching it, like sitting next to you, watching your screen while you're doing it, because they basically just have control of your device. And I mean, maybe in a broader kind of a sense, your mobile phone is actually just a piece of spyware that happens to also make phone calls.
Yeah, in and of itself, it's already spyware. Yeah.
So
Should we go back to
your
flip
pocket
phone?
spy is so your flip phone suffers from a lot of the same kind of problems, and this is part of the RCMP's complaint about why they're using this new technology. In the olden days, when they got wiretaps, they were actual physical. Go to a telco office, go to a central office, and physically listen to a line. Because POTS systems, actually with like real switchboard operators, you can listen to the phone call because you're literally connecting two pieces of copper together, and that's how telephones used to work on the old POTS system pre-switching, like pre-67 for a fun reference to our last topic.
And if you look at all the old
I would have went with
technicians,
69. But
they had the butt set that they could clip into literally any set of lines, and
you can still
make and receive
lineman's
phone calls.
set
Yeah.
still work on POTS systems, even digitized systems on home.
Yeah.
So as long as it's not VoIP, you can still do that on a real phone.
Yeah.
Cell phones, not so much, but there's not a lot of cell phone companies in Canada. There's like about 3 or 4. Rogers, Bell, TELUS,
Yeah.
maybe one more.
One everyone else piggybacks off.
Well, and that's, yeah, so when you're talking about like Freedom Mobile or Kudo or I don't
the other
remember who's in
terrible
Quebec,
companies out
Videotron?
there.
SaskTel. SaskTel uses Bell equipment, if I'm not mistaken.
Videotron.
It's all
Quebec.
Videotron in Quebec, I think, uses Rogers equipment, but don't quote me on it. I don't know
Rogers,
stuff in
it's
Quebec.
either Rogers or Bell, but yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
But
everything is
those
either
are-
Rogers or Bell, because Rogers or Bell owns the infrastructure. And that made it really easy for the RCMP, because they could be like, hey, Rogers, turn over all of this customer's information, or hey, Kudo, talk to Rogers and turn over all of this customer's information. And with text messaging, which is unencrypted and the provider has access to all of it, who you are, when you sent it, what the content was, who you sent it to, they can provide all of that through a subpoena process ordered by the courts. And telecom companies are more than happy to do that and work with RCMP and other police investigators on a regular basis to do that kind of a thing. Same thing with
Remember
actual
that
phone
the next
calls.
time you go to send a dick pic. Yeah.
Do it over Signal.
Signal, I think, is a better choice. Signal or Threema would be my preferred choices. The advantage in my mind, I wish other Andrew was here to be nerdy about computer stuff with me. Threema doesn't require a phone number in order to obtain an account, but it is a paid service. So pro and con.
I mean,
Whereas
don't use
Signal
anything
is-
encrypted and just send dick pics once a day. So the fucking
Yes.
the RCMPS
Flood their servers with dick
Right.
pics.
What was that email? info@antihate.ca?
I mean, hey, if I'm already paying for that RCMP,
Yeah.
I mean, why not send them a dick pic once a day?
If you guys are like spamming people with inappropriate content, I'm sure I've got a couple of email addresses to add to your mass emailing list.
I'm not advocating that you send pictures of your genitals to anyone that doesn't specifically request pictures of your genitals, but
But if
I mean,
they're
it
going to
does
be
make for
snooping on
funny
your phone
content.
anyways, right?
It says
Clearly,
Who
that,
cares?
that means they want to see them, right?
Yeah.
well, and I really don't care for this. This was found out by a researcher at University of Toronto at the Citizens Lab, which I have my own problems with University of Toronto and specifically Citizen Lab, but that the RCMP was not publicizing that they were doing this, and they are somehow gaining access to people's devices and installing their surveillance technology and using it for everything. Because it's not just what's on your phone, it's the microphone, so they can hear everybody in the room around the phone. They can turn the camera on so they can see where you are. They can gather the location data from the phone so they can see where you are. I feel like that's redundant to have said, but I mean, camera versus GPS location is different kind of seeing. The RCMP has a whole team of people, CAT, dedicated to this. CAIT. They're responsible for all this electronic surveillance stuff. None of this stuff has been tested in the courts. So the RCMP has to ask a judge to give them a warrant to do a different type of electronic surveillance, different than a traditional wiretap. But it doesn't explain how the RCMP actually gains access to your phone. Because, again, normal basic security, and I wish there was somebody more nerdy here to be about this. If I physically have your device, all bets are off. If I physically have your phone or your computer or whatever, eventually I'll gain access to the data that's on it because I physically have the item.
Yeah.
If you're trying to connect to somebody's phone remotely, if you're trying to connect to somebody's computer remotely, there's difficulty through the connection with that. The number of attempts will be limited. The speed the attempts are made at is limited. But if I physically have your device, eventually I'm going to gain access to it because I can physically compromise it. So really, and this is my problem with when they changed the law, that was last year, to allow CBSA to compel you at the border to unlock all of your electronic devices for CBSA to inspect. When they have your device, it's just a matter of time until they find out everything on it, because you can do things like clone it and download all of the data. You can go through all of the things that are on it. You can get access to all the passwords that are stored on it. You can go through all the biometric security stuff that's on it. There's lots of fun exploity things you can do with mobile phones or laptops or other devices. What they don't say in any of the articles, and what I suspect that's going on, is they very, very briefly mention that the Americans, the FBI, had been using NSO Group's Pegasus software as part of their criminal investigations. NSO Group is an Israeli-based firm. It employs a bunch of people that used to be part of Unit 8600. Project Pegasus is spyware that you can license from this group. They're not very clear about how it works, but I'm reasonably certain that Project Pegasus has a remote exploit, so you don't actually need access to the person's phone. I'm reasonably certain that there are exploits that exist on most versions of Android and every version of iPhone that allows a actor, another person, a member of that RCMP, for example, or that FBI in America, to surreptitiously gain access to your mobile device without your knowledge or consent. Your data is not safe, and these people are able to look at it. They're saying that they're going to be using it in, where's the quote I want in the article? In less than a generation, a high number of Canadians migrated their daily communications from a small number of large telecommunication service providers, all of which provided limited and centrally controlled services to customers, to countless organizations in Canada and elsewhere that provide a myriad of digital services to customers. That decentralization, combined with the widespread use of end-to-end encrypted voice and text-based messaging services, make it exponentially more difficult for the RCMP to conduct court-authorized electronic surveillance. They don't like that they can't see your encrypted messages. They don't like that they can't go to the telco and say, hey, give us all of this guy's call logs and then maybe let us listen to his phone calls too. They don't like that they... Go ahead, Pierre.
No, I'm just thinking like right out of the box for this. So if you're going to do some shady shit, you have to send post-its with the message on a dick pic back and forth, because imagine that shit in court.
I mean, that would be...
Yeah, but so the
That would be
biggest problem
funny.
with this is like, if this is only used to go after the worst of the worst when it comes to criminals, and they have to go and get a warrant and do all of the
Who
things,
defines
I
worst
don't
of the worst?
necessarily have a problem. The problem is,
I
though,
have
is
a
it's
problem
such a
with it.
slippery slope, and that now
That's
that
why I
you've
have
got
a problem with it.
people that are labeled as terrorists because they donated $5 to the Freedom Fund and
Right,
things like
and-
that. And so now you've opened up the potential. Well, these are white nationalist terrorists. Let's get a
Who
warrant
define?
and snoop around on their stuff.
It's a difference in how they think about it, though. They think about it. It's better to, let me make sure I get this right. It's better to imprison 10 innocent people to catch 100 criminals than to let 10 criminals go to keep one innocent person out of jail.
Yeah, but
I
who
don't see that
decides
as wrong.
that line?
Well, and
of
this is
where
the,
it's allowed and where it's not, and where is that line allowed to be changed depending on the criteria? Right, Emergencies Act. Let's just use that.
I
for
think
example,
it
right?
absolutely depends on who is in government, and I think that the leftists should be freaking out about this, because if there was a populist right-wing government in power, they would 100% be wiretapping the communist subversive elements and throwing them all in the gulag. But since the subversive left-wing element is currently the group that's running the government, they're all about trying to wiretap the Christians and whatever other group they see as hateful and bigoted.
I mean, I'm
But it
okay with
become-
my tax dollars going towards helicopter fuel.
Yeah, throwing commies out of
But who
helicopters
gets
is
to
never
pick
a
who's
bad
driving the
plan.
helicopters?
What? Dick pics driving a helicopter?
I know a couple of pilots.
I
I
don't
would
care
start
who's
with them
driving
first.
it. I'm just saying, I'm okay with my
Taxes
tax
paying-
dollars going towards helicopter fuel to throw douchebags out of a helicopter.
Yeah, it's just who decides who the douchebags are, right? And that's kind of what
Whoever
I'm saying,
is
right
in
now, with the
power,
left in
or whoever
power-
runs the RCMP.
Exactly.
So there used to be this
Exactly.
really cool thing
That's
where small
Why it
communities.
needs to be completely separate from the government, like it was set up.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
yeah,
Well,
no,
and
but
that's it was it used to be private security, and pretty much nobody had more control than the average citizen, right? Like you'd hire people to protect your community, but it didn't mean that you couldn't protect your community. It's just it was a bigger scale than what you could do on your own. And since it's kind of gotten away from that model per se, like it's just garbage. Our tax dollars are going to ridiculous things that are unaccountable.
for
And
example,
I'm
a pamphlet that your kids are gonna fucking bring home.
well. Let's
Kitty
put the
corners
two of
in
those
schools.
together. Let's put the two of those together. So let's say that you get investigated because you used one of these alleged hate symbols. Your child goes to school and they say Daddy's got a swastika at home, and Daddy happens to be an avid World War II enthusiast. He's a fan of the era, and he's got some memorabilia. Does CSIS start looking into you and decide that you're a national security threat, and the RCMP or CSIS or some other government agency decides they should wiretap your phone through some other than traditional wiretapping means? They start installing Pegasus and remotely checking to see what you're doing, listening to your
That'll,
conversations with your spouse or your child in your own home without your knowledge.
that'll learn.
You're a threat to
Why-
national security. Remember, you have a swastika.
Yeah, you bought those damn Time Life books and you knew what was coming.
Yeah,
I mean,
never mind
Hitler did
World War
one
II
Man of the
propaganda.
Year, what, like 3 times, right?
Yeah, like never.
and
Go ahead.
go ahead, Peter.
I was gonna say, like, never mind World War II propaganda. The swastika was extremely prominent in like peace and prosperity symbols before the Nazis kind of took it and flipped it over, inverted it, and used it as their own symbol, right? So like, there's countless numbers of memorabilia. You can go to specifically antique stores in the southern states where it was extremely prominent way before the swastika was ever a bad thing.
Yeah.
But
Well, if you go
the
to
people with
the
power don't care.
museum,
You have a
Yeah.
swastika on a coin or something, and yeah, whatever
Well,
it is,
this,
right? Like,
this is my concern. Is what
Yeah.
what is it going to take to get you labeled a national security concern?
that'll change every week.
So I mean,
Yeah.
I'll be honest. I went to Germany on an exchange when I was in cadets when I was fucking 17, and I bought a match cover with the swastika on it. World War II memorabilia stuff. Spent a boatload on it,
Ah, a fan of the era.
right? And I mean, I went down there, like and it was fantastic. We saw a bunch of stuff. We went to a whole bunch of World War II not memorabilia. The thing that they do to say, "Oops, we fucked up," like not museums, but
Memorials.
Memorial
yeah,
or
memorial stuff. Yeah. So we went to a bunch of that stuff, and it was cool. But like, I mean, I don't know if I still have it. I mean, I should double check and see if it's in one of these fucking bins around before I get, swatted. But just I was there. I'm like, that's a piece of history. Whether I like that specific part of history or thankful that the history was changed due to everything that happened to prevent that from happening, but it's still part of history. Where
I think that's the key. It's
yeah,
like still
the
part
thing,
of
like,
history.
so who defines that line where it's like, okay, okay, fine. Is it government? Okay, so when the liberals are in power, they're going to come after every gun owner. And when the conservatives are in power, they're going to go
Nothing
after...
will happen because the conservatives are in power.
Yeah, exactly, right? So it just stops.
The
right?
conservatives
So,
are absolutely fucking useless, but that's a different problem.
Yeah,
so
but the government that governs least governs best.
So who's to
But
sit
not the way
down
the
and make these guidelines, right? Who's the person,
The same people that produce the pamphlet. It's these anti-hate people.
right? So
Yeah.
is it okay because we're all white on this panel tonight, and we sit down and we have...
Are we? Did you check?
Did you ask?
Gavin's 1% African. I know this to be true.
It's true.
So I don't know what I am. I never paid to put my spit in a tube and be on a database. But, so we're all sitting here chit-chatting, trying to have an open conversation and discuss different topics or different point of views, or whether we all agree on the point of views. Who's to say that, okay, fine, let's say tomorrow, for some reason, Justin Trudeau finds a podcast and, we're making a fuckload of fun of him. And is he the person to decide that, hey, guess what? Everybody that participates on this podcast is considered a white supremacist.
At the
Yes.
moment, yes. Yeah.
I think
but-
that's a real
And that's
potential
the problem. And that's
It is a
the issue
problem.
I have.
It is a problem.
Yeah,
But this is
everything
this
about
is
this is a
the
problem,
RCMP is massively overstepping what they should be allowed to do.
So are they, or is the government?
Yes.
Yeah, potato. It doesn't. It's just two arms of the same
Yeah.
beast. It's the.
Look at what's her face, Brenda Lucky or whatever it was.
Mhm.
Lucky.
Like that's a prime
Lucky.
example of
Well, we'll
the
talk about the
RCMP.
whole
No,
Nova
but that's
Scotia thing
but
as
that's
its own.
That's that RCMP
Is
or
at
a
it
member
again.
of it acting solely in the interest of the prime minister,
Mhm.
right? Like, so yes, it's about the gun thing, but okay, so what's to say that there's somebody else that he's put in power there, or that likes
Well,
him or
and-
whatever? That's the same thing, right? So it's like, oh, this
Not
guy
to be-
said some shit about him,
Not to
so
be
we're gonna
overly
spy on him.
conspiratorial. Not to be overly conspiratorial, but maybe it's not as New World Order backroom, wringing of hands kind of thing as a top-down agenda that the prime minister is contacting people and telling them what to do. Maybe it's just enough people have been indoctrinated by the kindling from the first part of the episode to be, well, all white people are racist, so all racists are a threat to national security, so the RCMP should monitor all racists. And it's not that it's a top-down thing, it's just that they're all playing from they're all reading from the same playbook. They're all working on the same...
Yeah. I've been
team,
told
if
to
you
monitor
will.
things like this, and therefore I'm doing my job, so I'm reporting a thing I saw.
Which is not necessarily a top-down conspiratorial type thing, but if you have enough people that are all rowing the boat in the same direction because that's what they've been told to do, or that's what they believe is the right thing to do, it doesn't...
'Cause that's the only people they'll hire.
Yeah.
But again, that's a self-selecting group of people, right? They hire people with beliefs similar to their own, so they don't need to be told in writing, point blank, you will go and monitor right-wing people with podcasts on the internet on Monday night, because they don't need to be told
doing
that.
it, yeah.
And I want to thank everybody at the RCMP and CSIS for tuning in every week and listening and helping bump those numbers up. I really, I need the view counts, so please.
Yeah. Metrics are important. Yeah.
Other metrics, similar vein, different, slightly different topic. This is one's on Rebel News. I have one more from the Financial Post. Rebel News: Environment Canada tracking 750,000 Canadians through redundant weather app. Climate change Barbie still making the news somehow.
I have a new weather app now in other news.
Oh yeah? Oh, you weren't using
No, I wasn't-
the Weather
wasn't
Can
that the
app, were
weather-
you?
That was that the weather can, or was it the
Yeah.
environmental? Yeah, no, I didn't have that one. No, that'd be stupid.
Okay, that's good. Weather can is don't use weather can. So the government of Canada paid to make their own app, and 715,000 Canadians.
Because if anybody could do the weather worse than the weatherman, it would be the government.
Doesn't like
I mean-
everybody's phone already have like a weather thing built in?
I mean, probably, but shout out to Prepper Podcast, Canadian Prepper Podcast, the Imitation CPP. Because you got OG CPP, and then you have the, imitation. Instant weather. Instant weather. Recommendation from the Canadian Prepper Podcast guys. It's been pretty good, and it doesn't seem like it's spying on me.
And if it is, it's probably spying on you less.
Yeah.
Well, I know it's tracking my location data, but it's also only tracking my location data when I have the app open, at least as far as I can tell. Unlike the WeatherCan app, which was just tracking your location data all the frickin' time. Even though it said it wasn't. But this is the second Government of Canada app that I know about that's doing this, because we talked about this before. Public Health Agency of Canada admitted that they had tracked location data of 30 million Canadian cell phones. They had just done it in a much more simplistic fashion. They didn't have an app. They didn't use Pegasus software from NGO or NSO Group. I almost called them NGO Group. That's a different group of guys.
Different thing.
NSO Group. Public Health. They just gave TELUS a bunch of money. They're just like, dear TELUS, can we please have location tracking data for a bunch of cell phones? And TELUS was like, for the right price, we'll do basically anything.
That's my provider.
I mean, you're in Western Canada. That makes sense. They kind of have a monopoly.
I'm just saying, for the right price. I mean, there's a lot of shady shit or weird shit I do.
And in possibly the most Canadian story of
Yes.
your pocket spy spying on you. This is in the Financial Post. Double tracking how Tim Hortons knows where you sleep, work, and vacation. So if you have the Tim Hortons app, you may want to reconsider.
The rewards are so good, allegedly.
You can
I don't know. I
still
don't
you can
go to
still
that place.
do it in person. Just don't use the app.
Do you get a card? Like, can you get a physical card?
Yeah, you can get a physical card still.
Yeah.
But then
use
you
the
can't
physical
order
card.
in advance, and that's the big thing for the
And
app is
quit
you
being
get
a
to
fucking
order in
lazy
advance.
Quit
And
being
And
a
make your
lazy
coffee
ass.
at home.
Make your
Reject
coffee at home.
modernity. Reject
Or-
modernity. Embrace tradition. Buy a France press and make your own damn coffee.
Whoa.
Yeah. Or
Brad
maybe-
Andrew is a meme that's going to get us in trouble.
Oh. Yeah. That's all right. Caesar knows where I live. Hey guys, how you doing? Hope
Yeah.
you're having a good time enjoying the podcast.
No embracing tradition.
Hope
Not
you enjoyed
embrace us.
Dominion Day.
Yeah, I did, and I wore my red ensign.
I'm kidding. But so like I don't understand, like, so if you I don't think it's a big surprise at this point. Like, it wouldn't be any different for the McDonald's app, Tim Hortons, whatever those apps are that you can like order online, like pay for it, and then like, oh, I'm here, and then bring it out to you. If you like, what makes you think they're not doing something? And I'm like, to get a free fucking donut once every fucking 9 coffees, like, what made people think that like they're not somehow doing some of this shady shit?
Well, what the idea
Or
is
the
that you're
capability.
You're 100% doing
overpaying
shady
for
shit.
9 coffees, so the least they can do is give you a free one.
Yeah,
It's the
Every now and
psychology
again.
of good marketing. It's
Yeah.
it's
Right.
creating an addiction. Is
right.
what
And
it
at the
is.
same time, I'm just like, I don't understand people that like leave their house and like the first thing they do is like go to Tim Hortons and buy a coffee, and then they have like another coffee there. I'm like, I make a fucking coffee pot at home. I have a coffee before I leave, and I bring a thermos with me. And then in the winter, I bring a big ass fucking thermos because it's cold as fuck outside, and I work outside. Why? Because the coffee maker cost me $50 because I'm not spending more than that. I'm like, I go
Bro,
to Costco.
France press.
Oh,
Too
I
much
have
work,
that,
takes
but
too
that's
long.
for my fancy coffee.
Doesn't make
Right,
enough
so-
coffee.
So my Arrowhead coffee,
Bigger
and that all,
France press.
No, all that stuff I have, and I make, the small press and the nice coffee. But like for work, it's like I go to fucking Costco, I pick up that big ass fucking Folgers for like $9. Lasts me like what, fucking
Well,
3-4 weeks.
Gotta get the fair trade Africa stuff. At least it tastes good.
But yeah, I said Folgers. But
As a PSA to everybody out there who uses Tim Hortons apps to save money because they get rewards, you'll save more money if you just make the coffee at home.
I break it down, it costs me at 27 cents a day to have a coffee.
For just
includes-
27 cents a day, you too can become a Patreon. We don't have a tier for that, but I'll take your 27 cents.
But that includes my
There are-
coffee before going to work.
There are starving Frenchmen on the podcast that need
Yeah.
coffee.
Cue the
Yeah.
Sarah McLaughlin
27
music.
cents a day is more than $1 an episode, so you might as well just do the $1 an episode.
Well, then you could buy a couple of people coffees a day.
Yeah.
But not
Yeah.
Gavin, because Gavin has forsaken the Lord's juice.
Hey, the British
Easy.
Empire was built on cups of tea, and the minute that they stopped drinking it is when the whole thing fell apart. That's all I'm saying.
They
Yeah,
have-
that's what took it down.
Yes.
That's fair. So, I think in summary, your cell phone is spying on you.
And
It's-
everything is racist.
Everything is racist.
Everything most white, regular.
Reject modernity, embrace tradition will definitely get you put on a watch list.
Yeah.
Using the NPC meme will get you put on a watch list.
Owning an
Oh,
OG
man, I'm
Canada
in.
flag.
Ordering a double will get you put on a watch list.
No, they just want to know where you sleep. There's a difference.
The Industrial Revolution and its consequences have been a disaster for the human race.
You know what though? It's wild that you're talking about this app thing. So I kind of get a little paranoid going through any drive-through. I always pay with cash. I was like, I don't even want this on my credit card receipt. I don't even want this on my online banking.
No, so funny enough about paying for cash.
You're the one holding up the line, Liz.
Yes, I am. Yes,
Funny
I am.
enough, paying
Counting
for
all my
cash-
coins.
Oh, fuck. So we went
That's only
out to
because people don't know how
supper.
to count anymore.
Oh fuck! Don't even get me started on trying to get change. But we went out for supper a little while ago. Went to our daughter's favorite restaurant. I'm not a huge fan of it. We were taking her out, having fun. Close to the end of school, she was all done. So I went and I paid for cash, right? So I went into a restaurant. I sat down. I ordered food. They fucked up my plate. I waited longer. This, that, and everything. And they gave us the bill, and I hand them cash, and I'm waiting for change. It took 8 minutes to get change. Right. So I paid with 100, and they brought me back two $20 bills and 45 cents. I'm like, okay, well, you're either not getting a tip, or I was like, or you should have broke down a $20 because you fucked up my food. Like, you're lucky if you're getting $5.
Yep.
So it's like, can I get change for a 20? I had to wait another 8 minutes to get change because nobody fucking has cash on hand anymore. I remember working in the restaurant where the waiters had $800 cash in their pocket until they cashed out. I'm like, nobody fucking pays with cash anymore.
Well,
And-
because that's how you spread the COVIDs.
Yeah, but I mean, if you're jabbed, oh no, sorry. So that comes every 9 months now. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
it's just
that's
like it's
every
like
9
preg-
months
it's like
now.
being pregnant.
Uh,
Well, that's probably a good note to
There's a
leave that
really
on. Is
good
any
joke in there somewhere. We're gonna find it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you'll get your milk for free every 9 months.
We're on Discord. If you want to continue to talk to us after this, you can hang out on
Just
Discord with
careful
us.
what memes you
wanna
post,
see-
please.
If you want to see your new flag, hit up Discord.
yeah,
Yes.
and Pierre's gonna make them for us.
I am gonna try.
T-shirts
I
and
looked at the
flags.
picture and I was like, I've had a lot of whiskey. I'll see what I can do. I'll see.
yeah,
maybe we'll have
I
it.
would buy that
We'll figure it out.
and fly it.
I'm
I'm getting
terribly
flags
concerned.
made like that, just so you know.
Andrew, you would 100% support this.
Okay, I'll take your
sure.
word for
Yeah.
it.
Do it.
Book
I'm gonna
club
have
this
it on
month.
my new gym shirts. Go ahead. Sorry.
No, a book club this month. The last Monday of the month is always book club. At least it has been for the last 2 years. We may as well keep with that because it's convenient for me to remember. We're doing Jody Middick's book, Unflinching, The Making of a Canadian Sniper. We have not yet picked an August book, but we should probably sort that out by next week. And let's go around the room. And Liz, where can everybody find you if they want to get more Liz content? Where's your local girl bar?
What?
The Beaver Hut,
What?
the local Beaver Hut.
The
Oh, no.
bar for women that like to date other women.
Oh, well, I don't know, but I guess you can find me on Instagram.
That'll work.
Yeah. Liz_Fawcett 9876. There you go.
Good
Are
stuff.
you gonna talk about your other venture, or is that secret?
Yeah, no, it's not a secret.
Well, you should
I'm-
promote it.
Okay. So I also have an Instagram account called Basement Death Squad. There's a bunch of us that started training jujitsu in the basement due to some changes that happened back in September.
Just government in general is the reason
Yeah.
for these changes.
Well, you know, when you got kicked out of gyms because you didn't want to talk about your personal medical information, that kind of thing. So we now, the bunch of us are actually opening like a gym in my drive shed now. So that's hopefully going to be up and running the beginning of August. If anybody's in the area, Southwestern Ontario region, and knows how to use some power drills, I got some construction that still needs to be done. If anybody would like to volunteer.
Sure, there's some panelists. That
I
know how to do
volunteer
some
Andrew because he likes to talk about his Milwaukee tools all the time.
Fuck
All
you,
right.
buddy.
So he can use them.
There you go.
Sold. I love Milwaukee
He
tools.
pictures-
Just don't mind the raging hard on the whole time.
Oh,
For the tools.
It's okay. It's okay. Liz isn't into that.
Unless it's silicone.
oh my
Sorry, that one was just too easy. I had to.
I feel like we're
So my
rapidly
mom watches
approaching-
these afterwards.
That sounds like
Hi,
a
Mom.
Yeah, I'm really sorry,
Hi, Liz's mom. Thanks
but
for
not
that.
really. Yeah.
Gavin, where can everybody find you, buddy?
But I'm not saying inappropriate things on the internet on the show. You can find me also on the Instagram UrbexGTA.
Saying inappropriate things in the internet.
Yeah.
Well,
Showing
Peter,
photos of my
where do
trip
you
to dildo.
where do you say inappropriate things?
Mostly on the Discord. My Instagram is a cross between bricks and other related things. At the Moran Life there, at Wild Turkey on the Discord.
All right, Pierre. If people want to buy this new Canada shirt, which I just scrolled far enough down in the Discord server to see,
Yeah, and I told you you'd like it, right?
I want one.
So I mean, I've had a lot of whiskey tonight, so I'm not gonna say it's a done deal, but I think I can make it. But off the wall customizing at Gmail, I'm pretty sure we got a tickety talk, Instagram, other things. I think we're gonna redo a Facebook thing because everybody uses fucking Facebook as much as I hate it. And if you watch us live, you can find my Instagram handle there. I'll do shit with it unless I tell my wife to, because I don't know how to post on there. I can send you funny pictures. That's about all I do with the Instagrams.
All right. So if you want a dick pic from Pierre, $5. If you don't want a dick pic from me, Pierre, $20.
No, $4. It's
All right.
cheaper. Yeah, it's cheaper to pay to get the dick pic, but if they don't want it, you have to have it cheaper so that it's more cost effective for them to pay you to not get it. You can get more subscribers that way.
You're
There you
really
go.
getting into this whole marketing thing. Good for you.
Yeah.
Are we
All right,
talking about your OnlyFans page?
Yeah. For just $4.33, you can not get a picture of my butthole.
I mean, that's a bargain.
I know what I'm doing with this month's Patreon money. I don't want that picture. So
For $10, I'll
We-
send you two.
I'm going to make a new subscriber level for Patreon. We might value your opinions. We also have no disdain like the disdain we have for the audience. So,
50.
Send us your
I love the
feedback.
audience.
Yeah.
For the record, I love the audience, especially Chris. You can join us.
Chris, we should bully into coming onto the show because Chris has lots of opinions and is well spoken. And also, I know where he lives, so Chris should come onto the show.
Yeah.
And if you want to come onto the show, or send us your comments about why you're not coming onto the show, or work out with Pierre how to unsubscribe from butthole photos, send us your feedback. Feedback at CanadianPatriotPodcast.com. Let us know what you think. I have to apologize to Rod Giltaca. We couldn't get Rod on the show tonight. Obviously, long show, busy show, big panel. Next week, we're going to get Rod in. We're going to talk more about that RCMP. Rod's all set to participate. For all of our listeners out there in podcast land, I'd like to remind you that you are a small fringe minority